Hi everybody, welcome to Line of the Week number 156, Motive Development Using Melodic Rhythms. It's time again to take another rhythm, add notes to it, and then improvise with it over tunes. This is called motive development. One way to look at motive development is to think of a balance of continuity and change. Some of the elements of your lines will stay the same, while some will change. This week we're going to choose our motive a little differently. Instead of starting with a specific rhythm, the motive will consist of the idea of 2 consecutive eighth notes per measure. The other break in our routine is to practice over a slow jazz waltz instead of our usual medium tempo progression in 4/4 time. And before I get to the line of the week, and so we're all on the same page, here are the chords to the progression. The chords are D minor 7 flat 5 to F minor 7 to G flat diminished, G minor 7, C minor 7, F7, and then resolving to B flat major 7 for 4 measures. Here are the chord scales I'm using for this week's line. The chord scales are F melodic minor to E flat major to G flat whole half to B flat pentatonic for 2 measures, and then to G flat melodic minor to F pentatonic for 4 measures. Here's an example of 2 eighth notes per measure played starting at different places in the measure as an example of rhythmic displacement. Here's the line of the week with the Guitar Pro backing I use to make sure I'm getting the notes and the rhythm accurate. So let's look specifically at the line of the week. In measure 1, you've got the original motive, meaning 2 consecutive eighth notes. In measure 2, you've got a variation of the original motive. In measure 3, you have an extension leading into a variation of the original motive in the next measure. In measure 4, there's a variation of the original motive. In measure 5, variation. Measure 6, variation. Measure 7, variation. Measure 8, yet another variation. And then measures 9 to 10, you've got an extension leading up to the original motive, followed by another extension to end the line. Also, let me talk briefly about a slightly different topic, the subject of tension and release. In this week's line, note the points of resolution of tension by half step. At the point of chord change, it's important to resolve non-harmonic tones, meaning avoid notes or disagreeable tones, by half step to an agreeable note. You can resolve tension either directly, meaning immediately, or indirectly, that is, within a beat and a half. In other words, at the point of chord change, only leap from a note if it's agreeable to both the chord of the moment and the next chord. Otherwise, you need to resolve the note, preferably by half step. For example, in this week's line, check out the end of measure 3 going into the beginning of measure 4. Note G flat, which is a root under the G flat diminished chord, is resolving by half step to note F, the 7th, under the G minor 7 chord. Also, at the end of measure 5, going into the beginning of measure 6, note G, that is the 5th, under C minor 7, is resolving by half step to note G flat, which is tension flat 9, under the F7 dominant chord. So that's all for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.